That soft cooing sound in your backyard every morning. You've probably blamed an owl for it at least once. It's not an owl. It's a mourning dove. And that bird you've ignored for years is hiding 6 secrets that make almost no sense. The last one? Even birdwatchers usually guess it wrong. And the funny part? It all starts with the name. Mourning dove, not morning, even though it calls mostly at dawn. Here's the twist: only the males make that sound. It's not grief. It's not sadness. He's basically telling every other dove he's here. And every single spring, people call wildlife hotlines convinced they've got an owl problem. Nope, just a very loud, very committed dove. If you hear that low, 4-note coo repeating every few seconds, that's your dove. Not a great horned owl. Owls hoot slower, deeper, and way less often. Here's what most people don't realize about how common this bird actually is. It's found in all 48 lower states, year-round in most of them, with somewhere around 350 million of them across North America right now. That makes it one of the most abundant birds on the entire continent, one you've probably walked past hundreds of times without ever really looking at it. Now here's where it gets weird. Imagine opening a dove's beak and finding something that looks exactly like cottage cheese. And no, I'm not talking about anything a mammal made. This bird feeds its babies milk. Thick, protein-rich milk, made inside a pouch in its own throat, called the crop. It's already weird. It gets worse: dad makes it too. Both parents produce it. Both parents feed it, beak to beak, and for the first few days of a chick's life, that's the entire diet. Only a tiny handful of birds on the planet do this. Doves, pigeons, flamingos, even emperor penguins. Weirdly enough, they all evolved it on their own. After a few days, the parents start mixing in soft seeds, and by 2 weeks, the chick eats like an adult. It's not just weird, it's actually powerful stuff. Crop milk is packed with more protein and fat than cow's milk, which is part of why dove and pigeon chicks grow so fast in their first week compared to other baby birds their size. Scientists still study it today because almost nothing else in nature works quite like it. That's a bird you've probably ignored your whole life. But the weirdness doesn't stop there. This next one is just funny. Mourning doves might be the worst architects in North America. A house finch builds something genuinely impressive: woven, cupped, insulated. A dove's nest looks less like a nest and more like somebody dropped a few sticks and accidentally left 2 eggs on top. People find these nests in the weirdest places every year: a windshield wiper, a porch light, the top of a parking garage, a downspout, anywhere flat basically, and sometimes the eggs just roll right off. Somehow, it still works. Because while they're terrible builders, they're relentless parents, taking turns sitting on those eggs almost around the clock, up to 6 broods a year, 2 eggs each time. That's potentially 12 chicks from 1 pair in a single season. Bad nests. Great parents. And if a predator does grab one, the dove has a trick for that too. Its tail feathers release instantly, so it escapes bald-tailed but alive, and grows them back in a few weeks. Nature clearly had a different plan for this bird. One more thing worth knowing: if you ever find one of these messy little nests in your yard, leave it alone. Mourning doves, like almost all native songbirds, are protected under federal law, so moving the nest or the eggs isn't just risky for the chicks, it's actually illegal. Best move is just to admire the mess from a distance. Here's a fun twist though. Because the nest is basically just a pile of sticks, doves will sometimes reuse the exact same spot 2 or 3 broods in a row, just topping it off with a few more twigs each time instead of starting over. Least effort possible. Maximum babies produced. It's honestly a pretty efficient system once you stop judging it by how it looks. You're a dove. You're eating. Then suddenly a Cooper's hawk explodes out of a tree. One bird sees it first. It launches, and its wings make a sharp mechanical whistle. Not a call. A physical sound built right into the feathers. Every other dove hears it and takes off before it even sees the threat. That slow, fat bird you thought you knew can hit 55 miles per hour, faster than a Cooper's hawk in a flat-out chase, faster than a sharp-shinned hawk too. That whistle only happens on a fast, panicked takeoff, never on a normal, relaxed flight. It comes from a notch in one specific wing feather that vibrates hard under pressure. Basically, evolution built this bird its own, built-in alarm system, and it only switches on when there's real danger. Speed isn't the only strange thing about how it moves. Watch one drink water sometime. Most birds scoop water and tilt their head back to swallow. Doves just put their bill in and suck, continuously, like drinking through a straw. That's where things get really weird. It's one of the rarest drinking styles in the entire bird world. Almost the only other birds that do this are pigeons, which makes sense once you realize doves and pigeons are basically the same family wearing different outfits. That bird camped out at your feeder for 10 minutes isn't lazy. It's stockpiling. That throat pouch works like a backpack, and one banded dove was recorded with over 17,000 seeds stuffed into it at once. 17,000. And every single day, a mourning dove eats up to 20% of its own body weight. Imagine eating 30 pounds of food in one sitting, then going straight out for a run. That's basically its daily routine. If it's hogging your feeder, add a ground tray a few feet away. Doves rarely perch and cling like finches do. They'll take the tray instead, and your smaller birds get the feeder back. Just try to keep that tray reasonably clean. Wet seed on the ground doesn't just look messy, it's how diseases spread fastest between ground-feeding birds. This is the one that stuck with me. If I asked you right now to guess how long a mourning dove lives, what would you say? Most people say 3 years. Maybe 5. They're small. The nest falls apart if you look at it wrong. The real number is over 31 years. For context, that's older than most house cats get, older than the average dog. A bird that weighs about as much as a small lemon, living longer than pets people spend a decade grieving over. It sounds impossible, but it's real. One dove was banded by researchers in 1968 and found alive in Florida in 1998. 31 years. 31 breeding seasons. Thousands of trips to feeders exactly like yours. To be fair, that's the extreme outlier. Most wild doves don't come close to 30 hawks, cars, windows, and bad weather. Make sure of that. Most don't even see their 3rd birthday. Doves are also, somewhat ironically, the single most hunted game bird in the entire country, with tens of millions taken legally every season across most states. Between that and everything else working against them, the odds are genuinely brutal. As crazy as it sounds, it actually happened, and that one record changes how you should look at the dove sitting on your fence right now. It might not be some random visitor that shows up and vanishes. It might have been coming to your yard for a decade before you ever noticed it was there, surviving every winter, every hawk, every close call, one ordinary-looking year after another. Next time you hear what you think is an owl, look again. It might just be the most misunderstood bird in your neighborhood. Have you ever found a mourning dove nest somewhere completely ridiculous? Tell me below. I read every single comment. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.